When a student's asked to perform an analysis, it typically means engaging with an issue, a concept, a body of literature around a particular topic. An analysis is not a description of what's in the literature or a description of a problem. It goes beyond that. Instead of just asking what, it asks why and how. Once students have mastered the skill of searching the literature, describing or reporting on what's there, an analysis is the next step, where a student has to state their own argument or position and engage with a body of literature in a more critical way. So when you analyse something, you don't simply describe what something is, you provide a sort of synthesis of the ideas, the strengths, the weaknesses, and you take something quite complex and you evaluate its different components. In a well-developed piece of analysis, I would look for a clear introduction that summarises the argument and its key points and clearly states the purpose of the piece of analysis. The introduction should guide the reader through the text by providing those signposts of what the author's argument will be. In the main body of the analysis, you will typically see it broken up using subheadings, and that's clear in this example. These identify the main issues and they show that the author is synthesizing those rather than providing a description of what is in the case study or a description of what is in the literature. There's an overview that develops conceptual categories, that categorizes the ideas in some way. That's where you may see the author looking at things from multiple perspectives and evaluating different positions. An important point to note in an analysis is that there is no correct answer. You're not trying to think of what you can write that will satisfy the person marking. Instead, you are drawing on your own arguments and stating your own position and finding evidence to support that. So one of the keys to a successful analysis is asking critical questions of the text or context that you are analysing. For example, the assumptions that are being made, the perspective of the authors and so forth. This person does that quite explicitly. She says that she will reflect on the event in the case study by asking some critical questions. And she lists 3 questions there that engage directly with her argument, her response to the case study. The other thing that's evident throughout this is that the author states a position. It's very clear that she is making a particular argument. Her own critical voice is evident, and she uses evidence from the scholarly literature to support her point of view. The other thing she does is take a balanced approach. She considers different perspectives in framing her own argument to lend depth to her point of view. In this example, what you can see is an appropriate use of the literature, but also the author's critical voice is evident. For example, she talks about a college looking like it runs itself on the surface, with people having developed acceptable roles and ways of working, but notes that the college is an open system and its stability is illusory. You see there both a reference to the literature and her critical voice in the illusory stability of the college. In a conclusion to an analysis, I would expect a student to restate their argument quite clearly. The argument should have been developed throughout, and as I said, a part of the introduction. In the conclusion, you would look to see that that argument is restated with a summary of the evidence that's been provided to support that argument. In this example, the student concludes with a set of recommendations, and that is a very appropriate way to finish an analysis of this sort, where it's a case study of an organisation that's being analysed. So the student concludes with recommendations for change, and that also means that the conclusion looks to the future. So the analysis is a forward-looking one. It's not a closed system. It's something that moves into the future. And of course, At the end is a reference list. All of these references have been cited in the body of the text and they are appropriately referenced.